everybody, welcome to my channel.
Emmanuelle Béart is a renowned French actress celebrated for her captivating performances in both French and international cinema. Born on August 14, 1963, in Gassin, France. She is the daughter of the famous French singer and poet Guy Béart. Emmanuelle rose to prominence in the 1980s and quickly became one of France's most respected actresses, admired for her beauty, depth, and emotional intensity. Her breakthrough came with the 1986 film Manon des Sources, Manon of the Spring, in which she portrayed the title character. The role earned her the César Award for Best Supporting Actress and catapulted her into the spotlight. Throughout her career, Béart has worked with some of France's most esteemed directors, including Claude Berri, Jacques Rivette, and Claude Sautet. In addition to her film success, Béart has also made headlines for her outspoken social activism. She has been a passionate advocate for immigrants' rights and has worked with various humanitarian organizations. Her off-screen persona reflects a deep commitment to justice and compassion, which contrasts interestingly with her often complex, mysterious screen characters. Internationally, Béart is perhaps best known for her role alongside Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible, 1996. But her heart has always remained in French cinema, where she continues to act in critically acclaimed roles. Career highlights after her breakout performance in Manon des Sources, 1986. Emmanuelle Béart became one of the most sought-after actresses in France. Her film choices have consistently leaned toward emotionally demanding roles, often portraying women on the edge, fragile, intense, and sometimes tragic. Notable films include La Belle Noiseuse, 1991, directed by Jacques Rivette. Béart starred opposite Michel Piccoli as the muse of a reclusive painter. The film, known for its long, meditative pace and nudity, is considered a modern classic. Un Coeur en Hiver, 1992, a moody and elegant film by Claude Sautet, where Béart played a violinist caught in a love triangle. Her performance was widely praised for its restraint and emotional nuance. Nelly et Monsieur Arnaud, 1995, another collaboration with Sautet, in which she played a young woman navigating a complicated relationship with an older man. Mission Impossible, 1996, though a brief foray into Hollywood, her role as Claire Phelps gave her international exposure, though she soon returned to European cinema where she felt most at home. 8 Women, 2002, directed by François Ozon. Béart joined an all-star female cast in this colorful musical murder mystery, which was both a critical and commercial hit. Face mask style and impact. Béart's acting style is marked by emotional rawness and vulnerability, often underpinned by a haunting beauty. She has collaborated with France's greatest directors, many of whom praise her for her courage in taking risks and delving into dark or psychologically complex roles. Family woman girl boy personal life. Béart's personal life has long fascinated the French public. She was married to actor Daniel Auteuil, her co-star in Manon des Sources, and they have a daughter together. She later had relationships with music producer David Moreau and actor Michael Cohen, whom she married and later divorced. In 2023, she made headlines again for marrying a woman, the writer and director Jemila Dahoho, highlighting her support for LGBTQ+ rights and personal authenticity. Dove activism and public life beyond the screen. Béart has used her fame for activism. She is a longtime advocate for the rights of undocumented immigrants in France. In 2004, she posed for a controversial Elle magazine cover without makeup to raise awareness for the cause. She is also a UNICEF ambassador and has worked on issues concerning children's rights and poverty. In 2023, she revealed in a documentary that she had been a victim of incest in her youth, though she did not name her abuser. This courageous disclosure added her voice to the growing movement in France demanding better protections and recognition for survivors of abuse, particularly through the hashtag #MeTooInceste. Glowing star legacy Emmanuelle Béart is more than just an acclaimed actress, she's a cultural icon in France. Her blend of fragile beauty, artistic bravery, and moral conviction makes her a symbol of the modern French woman. Complex, passionate, and unwilling to be silenced. She continues to act in theater and film, now choosing projects that reflect her values and experience. Whether remembered for her unforgettable roles or her principled stance, Béart's influence on French cinema and society is enduring. Artistic identity and creative risk Emmanuelle Béart has always resisted being typecast as merely a screen beauty. Though often described in her early career as ethereal or angelic, she deliberately chose roles that challenged that perception. In her filmography, she repeatedly portrays women confronting trauma, emotional repression, or deep existential crisis. These characters often serve as reflections of larger societal issues, patriarchy, class disparity, and the female experience of intimacy and isolation. In Les Belles Noises, Béart spent much of the film nude, not to titillate, but to embody vulnerability and artistic surrender. It was a radical role for a mainstream actress at the time and showed her willingness to treat cinema as art, not product. She once said, "I didn't want to please. I wanted to act." That ethos is evident in her choices throughout the 90s and 2000s, which often ignored commercial trends in favor of psychologically rich material. Eye beauty, plastic surgery, and public scrutiny. Béart has been strikingly open about her complicated relationship with beauty. In the early 2000s, she underwent cosmetic lip surgery that she later publicly regretted. The French media often scrutinized her appearance more than her performances, something she spoke about with honesty and bitterness. "It's a horror. I saw myself as a monster. I had surgery for someone else, not for me." Her frankness sparked a national conversation in France about female aging in the public eye, media pressure, and the cultural obsession with physical perfection. Béart's case became symbolic of how women, even accomplished artists, are held hostage to beauty standards, especially in the film industry. France's cultural impact and place in French cinema. Béart occupies a space similar to icons like Isabelle Adjani or Juliette Binoche, but with a distinctive emotional gravity. Where Binoche often plays luminous and cerebral, and Adjani volatile and gothic, Béart is internal. Her characters are frequently caught in emotional traps, unable to speak or act freely. That restraint makes her performances quietly devastating. She has helped shape the image of the modern French woman in cinema: self-aware, emotionally complex, politically conscious, and unafraid of ambiguity. Directors love working with her because she brings a subtle intensity that speaks even when she's silent. Globe feminism and speaking out while never positioning herself as a celebrity feminist. Béart's body of work and personal actions reflect deeply feminist values. Her public support for immigrants and her raw revelation about being a survivor of incest align her with France's evolving conversations about trauma, power, and systemic silence. In 2023, she co-directed the documentary Unsilenced C. Bryant, Such a Loud Silence, which gave voice to incest survivors. This project was both political and personal, cementing her role as an advocate for truth-telling and survivor dignity. Her activism goes beyond slogans; it's about using art and presence to change culture. In a society known for its deep-rooted conservatism around family and gender, Béart's courage in speaking about sexual abuse, aging, and body image has opened real space for dialogue. Candle where she stands now. In recent years, Emmanuelle Béart has focused on Theater, where she continues to act in emotionally charged plays. Directing, especially on topics close to her personal history. Activism, particularly surrounding children's rights, immigrant dignity, and female voices in French culture. She remains an enduring symbol of artistic sincerity and moral courage, an actress who transcended her image to become a voice for those who are often silenced. Philosophy of acting. Emotion over technique. Béart has described her acting process as deeply emotional, almost intuitive. She's not a method actor in the American sense. But she doesn't separate herself from the character easily either. She has often said that roles leave a trace on her, not just psychologically, but physically. This immersive approach gives her performances a raw, lived-in quality. In interviews, she said she never trained at a major conservatory, preferring to learn by fire on set. Her education came from working alongside masters, like Michel Piccoli, Daniel Auteuil, and directors such as Claude Sautet and André Téchiné. These collaborations shaped her preference for quiet intensity, inner conflict, and films where silence often says more than dialogue. Movie camera directors who shaped her, and whom she shaped. Claude Sautet, her most important collaborator. Sautet cast her in Un coeur en hiver and Nelly et Monsieur Arnaud, where her emotional restraint and elegance found full expression. Their films together are like sonatas, slow, melodic, precise. Jacques Rivette, in Les Belles Noises. He used Béart's physicality as a canvas, literally and figuratively. The role was a study in vulnerability and artistic sacrifice. François Ozon, in 8 Women, Ozon brought out a more playful, theatrical Béart, proving she could hold her own in ensemble, comedic storytelling. André Téchiné, known for exploring identity and social pressures, Téchiné directed Béart in Les Égarés 2003. Set during World War II, where she played a widowed teacher caught in a tense survival story. These directors appreciated her willingness to go deep, to be physically and emotionally exposed, to surrender ego in service of the character. Globe International versus French reception. In France, Béart is seen as part of the cinéma d'auteur tradition, actors who serve the director's vision, not the box office. While she gained brief international fame through Mission Impossible, she rarely pursued Hollywood roles, saying, "The language wasn't the problem. The soul was missing." In global terms, she's best known among cinephiles, often cited alongside names like Marion Cotillard or Catherine Deneuve, but with a narrower commercial reach. That was partly by design. Béart never chased global stardom. She preferred France's more intimate, character-driven films where women could be layered, flawed, even opaque. Film projector. Béart, in the context of French film history, France has a rich lineage of actresses who defy convention. Jeanne Moreau, Romy Schneider, Isabelle Huppert, and Anna Karina among them. Béart is a natural heir to that tradition. Like them, she chooses complexity over charm, works more in film than television, uses silence and stillness as powerful tools, challenges societal roles for women through her characters. Her career bridges the post-New Wave era of the 1980s and 90s, where directors were rethinking realism, identity, and female subjectivity. Béart became a muse to that movement, not just a beautiful face, but a canvas of inner life. Light bulb legacy and enduring influence as an actress. Béart helped redefine what femininity looked like in French film: intellectual, damaged, political, and defiantly non-commercial. As a public figure, she's taken control of her narrative, from confronting plastic surgery regret to disclosing childhood abuse with unflinching honesty. As a woman in cinema, she remains a rare example of someone who has aged on her own terms in an industry that often punishes women for doing so. Her story resonates now more than ever. In a post-#MeToo world where silence is being replaced by testimony, and where beauty, once her greatest burden, has become a source of reflection and resistance. Curated filmography. Key roles and why they matter. Here are some of her most defining roles, not just for their cinematic value but for what they say about her artistic choices. 1. Manon des Sources, 1986, Der. Claude Berri role. Manon, a wild, mysterious shepherdess. Small Diamond. Why it matters. This was her breakout role, and an iconic one. Béart brought intensity and emotional depth to a character that could have been a mythic beauty. She made Manon real, wounded, perceptive, and quietly vengeful. This role won her the César Award for Best Supporting Actress. 2. La Belle Noiseuse, 1991, Der. Jacques Rivette role. Marianne, the muse, model for an aging painter. Small Diamond. Why it matters. Nearly 4 hours long and centered on the act of painting, this film is a masterpiece of observation. Béart's willingness to be so exposed, physically and emotionally, makes the film unforgettable. Her body becomes a site of creation, frustration, and transformation. 3. Un cœur en hiver, A Heart in Winter, 1992, Der. Claude Sautet role. Camille. A violinist in a complex love triangle. Small Diamond. Why it matters. A study in emotional restraint and subtle betrayal. This role showcased Béart's ability to convey deep sadness without melodrama. Her chemistry with Daniel Auteuil, her former partner, gave the film an added emotional edge. 4. Nellie et Monsieur Arnaud, 1995, Der. Claude Sautet role. Nellie. A young woman caught between independence and survival. Small Diamond. Why it matters. A deeply nuanced role about power, generational divides, and quiet yearning. This was one of her most introspective performances and proof that she could carry a film based entirely on character tension and unspoken emotion. 5. Mission Impossible, 1996, Der. Brian De Palma role. Claire Phelps. Small Diamond. Why it matters. Her only major Hollywood role. While her screen time was limited, she brought European elegance and ambiguity to a blockbuster that otherwise dealt in spectacle. 6. Les Égarés, Strayed, 2003, Der. André Téchiné role. Odile. A teacher fleeing Paris during World War II. Small Diamond. Why it matters. A subtle war film about survival and the psychological cost of war. Béart played vulnerability with incredible realism, capturing the quiet terror of displacement. 7. 8 Women, 2002, Der. François Ozon role. Louise, the maid with a secret. Small Diamond. Why it matters. A stylized musical mystery with a legendary female cast. Béart's comedic and dramatic timing showed a more playful side, proving she could shine in ensemble settings too. Woman singer championing women's interior lives on screen. Béart has played abused wives, silent lovers, disillusioned intellectuals, muses turned rebels, women in transition. What unites her roles is a commitment to emotional truth, even when it's unflattering or painful. In a cinematic tradition that often idealizes women, Béart insisted on showing the cracks, the regrets, the hesitations. She said in an interview, "What interests me is the fragile moment. The thing that's about to break." Her characters rarely offer easy answers, they're uncertain, contradictory, and evolving. This helped shift the image of women in French cinema from mystique to complexity. Seedling influence on younger generations while not as internationally visible as actresses like Marion Cotillard. Béart has quietly shaped generations of French actresses who came after her, including Léa Seydoux, Adèle Exarchopoulos, and Virginie Efira, who cite her boldness and vulnerability as inspirations. Her choice to turn down Hollywood fame in favor of intimate, often politically charged roles in France also carved out a space for actresses to prioritize artistic integrity over global marketability. Home life off camera. Motherhood, identity, solitude. Béart is a mother of 3 and has spoken often of the tension between acting and parenting. She has described motherhood as grounding but also as a kind of emotional explosion that made acting more dangerous and more personal. Her later life, especially her coming out in her 50s and marriage to filmmaker Gemila Dehoho, shows a woman increasingly aligned with her inner life rather than public expectation. She has also taken long breaks from acting to focus on writing, humanitarian work, and advocacy. Her 2023 documentary Unsilence C. Bryant was more than a film. It was a public reckoning with France's reluctance to face domestic and sexual abuse. It wasn't about her alone. It was about giving others the courage to speak. Dove legacy. Not a star, but a force. Emmanuelle Béart's legacy lies in artistic bravery, choosing roles that speak to truth over popularity. Cultural impact. Opening conversations in France about beauty, trauma, and the aging actress. Feminist contribution. Portraying women as full human beings, not supporting characters to men's stories. She's not a red carpet regular. She's not a box office juggernaut. But she is, undeniably, one of the most emotionally intelligent and socially courageous actors in modern French film. Public persona versus private self. The myth and the woman. From the beginning of her career, Béart was perceived through a lens of mythic beauty. Blonde, blue-eyed, and often photographed with a haunted expression, she became an icon of French femininity. Magazines, especially in the 80s and 90s, mythologized her, portraying her as fragile, mysterious, erotic but distant, a kind of modern-day Brigitte Bardot with the emotional intensity of Romy Schneider. But Béart consistently worked against this image. She gave raw, confrontational interviews. She avoided overexposure.
Bye bye. Thanks for watching.